Shane Beamer to return as the South Carolina head coach in 2026. Not a surprise, but I'll tell you why it's also the right move, regardless of what happens on Saturday. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler, host of Locked On Gamecocks and part of the Locked On Sports Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in America. Bravo to all. Welcome in. We got a great show for you. I appreciate it. It's going to be a short show because, I'll be honest with you guys, love you to death. But fiance Allie is going to kill me if I don't spend some time with her family on Thanksgiving, as you are looking live from the Holiday Inn Express here in Tampa, Florida. Nonetheless, quick show, but a great show, and I'm excited to get to it. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Remember, guys, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all capital letters, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Now, we are making do with things down here in Tampa. I know the quality of the video and lighting is not great. I don't know how the audio is, but we're going to get these shows done, and we're going to talk to you about a lot of stuff going on in South Carolina football and around the program. Now, this is something that I should have seen coming a mile away. Yesterday, as I'm doing the show, and I make the thumbnail and I put the title out, and it's a question that's been asked a ton from, especially as the game gets closer, is if Shane Beamer loses to Clemson, would he potentially be fired? And I think it's a valid question up until, I don't know, 24 hours ago. What happens in this job all the time, and I mean like it at an alarming rate, Me and my buddy Connor O'Gara from Saturday on South, we used to joke around about it all the time because every time it seemed like there was breaking news, it would happen as soon as we hit stop recording on the mic. I did that yesterday, and 2 hours later, after posing the question, would he potentially, his job be in jeopardy if South Carolina loses to Clemson? Jeremiah Donati, the athletic director at South Carolina, told us all the answer to that, and it was no. Shane Beamer will be back in 2026, and he will be the head coach of South Carolina. Now, I know that's frustrating to a lot of people. It's not surprising, I think, to anybody, but I know it's frustrating to a lot of people, and I fully understand the frustration. I get why people would be bothered or annoyed or think it's the wrong move. I get all that. Like, listen, we're closing on the last game of the season, which sucks. We should be talking about a bowl game to get ready for. I wish we were talking about the playoff and all these things. But Beamer coming back, I feel like it's fine. And I think it's the right move to announce it now more than anything. And the main reason why is this. Now, in a landscape of college football where there is so much instability, it's a record number of not just jobs that are open, but premier jobs that are open around the country. Penn State, LSU, Florida, Auburn. And while we know that some of those positions are reportedly being filled by certain names, Summerall to Auburn seems like a sure bet. At least I'm being told that it is. I've been told that for about a week now. I was told that Kiffin to LSU was a done deal last Friday. We'll see how that turns out because it seems like everyone is very confident on all three parties that he's going to end up there. Personally, I believe that's where he's going. But with all of these, is LSU, all of these openings, it's very, very unstable right now in the world of college football. South Carolina's had a crap season. They're going to finish either 4-8 or 5-7. Hopefully it's 5-7. But they've had a crap season. One thing that is at least a positive moving into the offseason is by announcing something like this, you are announcing stability, or at least getting yourself into a position where you are more stable. There are so many things that Shane Beamer needs to start doing literally the moment the clock hits zero on Saturday. Like this is not a thing. And listen, I know there's a 24-hour rule and people have that like in different programs and all that kind of stuff. And if Shane Beamer, after a long, long season, decides at the end of that game, I'm going to take the rest of the day, I'll handle the recruiting stuff, I might take Monday off, I'm going to put my feet up on the couch, I'm going to watch some reruns of The Office and sit here and have some mindless doom scrolling for 24 hours and just allow myself to take a breath. I wouldn't judge it. I don't want to hear that he's doing it, to be very clear, but that's what I do when I need a break. So I get it. Again, Shane, do not pull a Hugh Freeze and go to the golf course and let everyone know you're there. But if you need a day, got it. But as soon as you start working towards next year, you got to hit the ground running, and you have a lot of things in front of you that you have to start checking off one by one. You got to figure out the OC. You got to maintain and retain the current recruits you have in this recruiting class, because even though it's only has 15 players and you've lost 2 in the past month or so, it's still a recruiting class that ranks in the top 20, top 15 nationally. And in terms of like per player recruit or per player ranking, it's top 12. You have to figure out how to start retaining your best players. Figure out where you're going to do at quarterback. Is Sellers coming back? Are you going to be able to hold on to Dylan Stewart? Are you going to be able to hold on to Josiah Thompson? Or all those things. OC, offensive line coach. Does Sean Elliott just move over into that position? Because then if that happens, I'm fine with it. I think they've started to play better. Then you got to go find a tight ends coach. Can you retain Clayton White? There's a million things that you have to do this offseason, guys. A million. Hell, he's got to figure out Christmas shopping, like all of us. But to start, you at least need to have some solid footing. And I think by getting this out of the way now, you kind of give the rest of and I'm sure he already knew this. And Shane Beamer wasn't going into this like, hey man, like if something bad happens this weekend, like am I going to lose my job? Like where he's going to have to be filled with anxiety and worry as he's trying to prep. Like I'm sure they had already had this conversation. But doesn't it make you feel at least a little bit better just for this game to know that like, okay, at least our coach is like fully focused on this game, and it's not a situation where he's like mind effed that if he cannot win that he's going to be fired. You know what I mean? Like now I want him to coach with a fire under his ass and like make sure like, hey, my back's against the wall. I know this is unacceptable. I know it's been a disappointing season, but by God, like I feel that pressure. I'm going to react like, pressure is a privilege. All of those things in coach speak, go out and win a ball game. But doesn't it make you feel at least a little bit better that it's not some weird looming thing over your head like of uncertainty? There's so much uncertainty in all these other games, and it almost takes away from some of it. Like you look at the Egg Bowl, and everyone's focus on that is not the 3.5 hours of the game. It's what happens as soon as the game is over. All of those types of things. We have one thing left to do this season, and that is kick Clemson's ass. And that is go win that game for the first time in Williams-Brice Stadium for the first time since 2013. Go win 3 of the past 4. Go into the offseason and say, yeah, man, really disappointing season. Can't believe what happened against Vandy earlier in the year. Can't believe what happened when we lost like however many games in a row. Can't believe we squandered away that win against Alabama. And then the horrible comeback against A&M. All that sucked so bad. But I'll tell you what was pretty fun. Kicking Clemson's ass for the 3rd time in 4 years and doing it in Williams-Brice for the first time in 12. That felt like a good thing to kind of just settle the waters, right the ship, and be on this is, I shouldn't use the boat metaphor for this, but like be on solid footing and stable ground. There's so many things Shane Beamer has to do this offseason. And listen, we're going to watch every single step. Like we are going to be along for every single part of it and talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between. But at least for right now, I'm happy that this was addressed with certainty. I'm so glad that when whoever put the microphone in front of Donati's face and asked him the question, or if he willingly went in front of it, I forgot how it went. But either way, when that happened, I'm so glad it wasn't like, well, we're going to reevaluate at the end of the season. We're going to do this. Like I'm so thankful that we got a clear-cut answer. And now we know where to go. We can disagree with it all we want. I know there's a lot of people that will. We can disagree with it all we want. But at the very least, it feels really good knowing that we are going to go into a situation this offseason with all the cards are on the table. You know what you have to do. This is one of the things I said a couple weeks ago when he spouted off and said, listen, this year or this time next year, we're going to be having this conversation on Tuesday night in front of the media based off of, or the conversation will be, where are we going to be in the college football playoff rankings? Whether you believe them or don't, I don't care. I understand both sides. I definitely understand the pessimism of surrounding why that won't happen from a lot of the fans. I get it. I fully get it. But like there with that and with this conversation that's had with Donati, at least you now know, like, hey man, there's no ifs for next year. Like you're the one that set the goal. And if you don't reach it, we have a discussion to have. It's going to be a pretty tough talk, a pretty tough discussion that we're going to have, but we're going to have it because of the bar that you set as the head coach, that you said we were going to be having, or we were where we were going to be. And for Donati, it's like, like you're coming a year off of giving him an extension, and I think that, like, from an investment standpoint, you keep in mind, like, the buyout is frustrating, and I will always maintain that in college football, money is not real. Like the buyout goes up to $19 million next year because he got a $1.5 million raise after last season, which I think was very deserved, and I think all of you would agree. So firing him right away and going into next year after you're less than 12 months removed from giving him the extension. Remember, it happened in December of last year. From an investment standpoint, that's a really bad investment. I don't think, like, I just don't think it's the right move. And when you look at, like, where this thing can go, I think you have clear-cut decisions. I say this all the time, guys. I bring up the poker analogy all the time. In poker, you don't want good cards. I mean, you do, but what you really want is easy decisions. And next year, I think you set up a very clear-cut bar of expectation that is going to basically be your easy decision. Hey, Shane, love you to death, man. I think it's very deserving of what you had the extension from last year and the raise that you got. Like happy to do it. That's like, we reward people when they deserve to be rewarded. We also hold people accountable, and there's consequences for actions and shortcomings. And if we're being honest, you've had some shortcomings. So if you don't win this many games next year, if we're not in the college football playoff discussion and we're hovering around 8-9 wins next year, we're going to have another conversation. It's not going to be great. And it's not going to end with, hey, Shane Beamer's going to be back here for 2027. This may feel like it's kicking the can down the road a little bit or something like that. I don't feel like that. I think it's the right move. And I think it's also a really, really clear indicator of, listen, these are the expectations. You will hit this or we are moving on. And I think with all of that in play, now becomes, I mean, honestly, the fun part, because now the fun part becomes, man, you got to go all in on next season. Like, this is not, well, hopefully we can get this recruit. Like, you have to go all in on next season. And if you're Shane Beamer, that starts with getting Lenoris to stay, getting Dylan Stewart to stay, figuring out if you can keep Nick Harbor out of the draft, figuring out if you can keep any of these other key players out of the portal, retention, getting elite players out of the portal. But I think the biggest thing for me is you have now given yourself solid footing and stable ground to work on. And you guys, I'll use this analogy to close out. You guys know just much that if you're running on something, you don't want like a slippery surface to run on. You don't want, like uneven ground where you can turn an ankle or something like that. You want solid ground and solid footing so you can hit the ground running. And that's exactly what he needs to do as soon as the clock hits zero on Saturday. And if I'm Shane Beamer, I'm finding ways to stack as many wins this offseason as possible. That's something we'll talk about more on tomorrow's show. I know it's Thanksgiving. We got another show coming for you. I'm thankful for you guys, and I'm sure I'll say it multiple times throughout the rest of the week. But we got a couple more days until the game. I will tell you the schedule I'm planning on doing is, we have this episode today. That'll go up. This is Wednesday. Thursday, I'll have a show getting into more of what I just said about the wins he needs to stack in the offseason. We'll also circle back to that this after the game this weekend. Friday will be a preview show, and then Saturday we'll have the post-game live reaction. Pray for me because I'm going to be in a house of Clemson and Auburn fans, which I don't have a problem with one side of those. But fiance Allie's brother went to Clemson. We're going to be watching the game together, and I'm hoping for the second year in a row I could rub it in his face at family Thanksgiving. So that is the plan for this week. Listen, like I said, just circling back to the last point that I made. If I'm Beamer, I want to start stacking wins as quickly as possible. And one of the ways you do that, since there are no more games to be played after Saturday, is you start getting commits. You start flipping commits. You start making sure you've got this recruiting class in a space where it's like, hey, like everything is going to be starting to be based off of what it's been. Because if you come in here and get another recruiting class that's ranked 18 to 22, you need to start doing things that are less like the old, that are less familiar, less of the same thing we've been seeing. And part of that is, hey, we brought in elite recruits in the portal. We brought in elite recruits in this recruiting class. Like, you got to start stacking wins, and you got to start doing it now. And I think with this nod from Donati, no pun intended or rhyme intended, that's a first step. And listen, it doesn't mean we're going to win a bunch of games next year, but it's a good start to at least know this is where the expectation is, and you damn well better get us there. So that is all for today's show. I appreciate you guys so much. If you are listening to on Thanksgiving, thank you. If you're listening this day before, thank you. I try not to be super sentimental on here, but I just want to let you guys know from the bottom of my heart, man, this year has sucked for football. It has been so incredibly rewarding to kind of cultivate and develop the little community we've had here and talking to some of you guys, whether it be in person at game weekends, whether it be in the comment section on YouTube or anything like that. I appreciate you guys so much in helping us grow this channel, and it's been a lot of fun, even despite how bad it's been on the field. I hope you guys have a fantastic and safe and amazing Thanksgiving with you and your family, our families. If you're a divorced kid like me, congratulations. Two Thanksgivings. Anybody husky that came from divorced families, it's not 2 Christmases you're excited about. It's 2 Thanksgivings. Trust me. But I hope you guys have a very safe and wonderful holiday with you and your loved ones. And I will talk to you guys until then. Until then, go Cox. Love y'all.